Gemini 3.5 Pro, Claude Opus 4.8, and GPT-5.6. Sol just ran through 5 head-to-head tests, and the model everyone calls the coding king actually loses the harder benchmark. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which one to deploy today, which one to wait on, and why the undisputed coding champion has a real crack in its armor. Money first, because a coding agent that runs all day turns pricing into your real bottleneck. Claude Opus 4.8 charges $5 per million input tokens and $25 per million output tokens, according to official docs. That's a real gap once you're generating millions of tokens a month, not a rounding error. Cached input tells the same story with a twist. Both models land at 50 cents per million tokens, a 90% discount, so that one's a tie. Fast mode is where the gap widens again. Opus 4.8's fast tier runs $10 in and $50 out at 2.5 times standard speed. Sol's fast tier costs $10 in and $60 out for short context, a real premium for the same speed class. Gemini 3.5 Pro sits this test out entirely because there's no published price. Third-party estimates float around, some as high as $15 per million input tokens, but I couldn't verify any of them, so they don't count here. Claude Opus 4.8 takes cost. GPT-5.6 Sol charges the same $5 on input, but jumps to $30 on output. At 2 million output tokens a month, Opus 4.8's bill comes to $50 versus $60 for Sol, a 20% savings on the single biggest cost driver in any agentic workflow. I went through every pricing page, model card, and independent leaderboard these 3 companies will actually stand behind, so you don't have to dig through 14 sources yourself. This is the test everyone actually searched for, and it's where the story gets complicated fast. GPT 5.6 Sol posts 96.2% on SWE Bench verified, a 7.5-point lead over Claude Opus 4.8's 88.6%. Sol also claims the top spot on Terminal Bench 2.1 at 88.8%. Though it's worth noting Anthropic reports Opus 4.8 at 74.6%, while OpenAI's own comparison table lists it at 78.9%. 2 different numbers for the same model from 2 different sources. On the Artificial Analysis Coding Agent Index, Sol claims a new state-of-the-art score of 80, against Opus 4.8's 72.5, using less than half the output tokens to get there, according to OpenAI. That's 3 benchmarks in a row for Sol. But here's the crack. On SWE Bench Pro, a harder, more difficult variant of the same test, Claude Opus 4.8 actually leads 69.2% to Sol's 64.6%. One of the biggest problems I run into when using AI agents is turning their output into YouTube content I can actually use to market my product. That's why this video is sponsored by Subscriber, a tool that helps business owners connect their AI agents to YouTube and market their products without spending 10 hours every week creating content. You can connect Claude or ChatGPT directly to Subscriber. It then analyzes your business, website, and YouTube channel to help you create SEO-optimized video ideas, scripts, thumbnails, and even complete videos that actually match your brand. What I like most is that every week, Subscriber gives me a list of high-potential video ideas I can immediately execute, and it can even help edit videos for me, with or without my face, including videos like the one you're watching right now. It's easy to get started, and you can try Subscriber for free using the link in the description below. Now back to the video. Gemini 3.5 Pro has no official scores here at all. One attributed figure floating around is likely a mix-up with a different, earlier model, so I'm not counting it. GPT 5.6 Sol wins this test on volume, 3 benchmarks to 1, but that one loss is the whole story if you care about the harder problems. That's the gotcha. Nobody's marketing team is putting on a billboard. The model being called the undisputed coding king drops behind on the version of the benchmark built to be harder to game. In standard mode, this test is a dead heat. No separation, no winner, straight tie. Fast mode is where it splits wide open. Opus 4.8's fast tier claims 2.5 times standard speed, landing around 140 tokens per second, according to official docs. Sol's fast mode guarantees above 80 tokens per second under a 99% latency service level agreement. But Sol has a third tier that changes the whole conversation. In ultra-fast mode running on Cerebra's hardware, hitting up to 750 tokens per second. That's a 14 times jump over standard throughput. and nothing else in this comparison touches it. Gemini 3.5 Pro has zero speed data, because it isn't released. GPT 5.6 Sol wins speed outright, and it's not close once you factor in that ultra-fast ceiling. Both Claude Opus 4.8 and GPT 5.6 Sol measure at roughly 56 tokens per second on their own APIs, community reported but consistent across the board. Google claims the broader model family runs 4 times faster than other frontier models, and the sibling Flash model hits somewhere between 118 and 289 tokens per second. But that's a different model, not 3.5 Pro itself, so it doesn't count toward this test. Stick with me, because the last 4 tests are where this decision actually flips. Here's where the unreleased model actually pulls ahead, at least on paper. A leaked spec puts Gemini 3.5 Pro's context window at 2 million tokens, double the 1 million class window on both of its rivals. Between the two shipping models, it's essentially a tie. Claude Opus 4.8 offers 1 million tokens of context, GPT 5.6. Sol offers 1.05 million, close enough that the difference won't change your workflow. Max output tokens are also a tie at 128,000 tokens each, official numbers on both sides. Gemini 3.5 Pro's reported output cap sits lower at 64,000 tokens, though that figure is community reported, not official. One more wrinkle worth knowing. Sol applies a 2-time surcharge on long context requests above 272,000 tokens, a real cost consideration if you're regularly pushing huge prompts. Gemini 3.5 Pro technically wins this test on the strength of that leaked 2 million window, but the asterisk is doing a lot of work. A spec you can't yet buy isn't the same as a spec you can deploy. But if it holds, it's a genuine structural advantage for anyone feeding entire codebases into a single call. That's a directional, leaked figure, not a confirmed spec, so treat it with real caution. None of the previous 4 tests matter if you can't actually get the model into production, and this is where the gap becomes the whole ballgame. Claude Opus 4.8 is generally available everywhere: the API, Claude.ai, Claude Code, and more than 9 cloud providers including AWS, Vertex, and Azure. It's also the default for agentic tool use workflows, with Claude Code able to run hundreds of parallel subagents, according to hands-on consensus from the community. GPT 5.6 Sol is generally available too, through its own API, ChatGPT, Codex, and Azure. But its most advanced cyber capabilities are gated to roughly 20 companies, according to official docs, so the version most people can actually touch isn't the full package. It does offer a multi-agent beta with programmatic tool calling, a real capability, just not as battle-tested as Opus 4.8's setup. Gemini 3.5 Pro isn't generally available at all. It was reportedly already being used internally at Google I/O back in May, but as of this research, there's still no release date, no confirmed cloud support, and no confirmed modality behavior beyond the announcement. Now, Claude Opus 4.8 wins this test clean, on the simple fact that it's the only one of the 3 you can fully deploy today without waiting on an access gate or a launch date. Claude Opus 4.8 wins on cost, at $5 in and $25 out, cheaper than Sol's $30 output rate, and it wins on deployment, live everywhere, with the deepest agentic tooling of the 3. GPT 5.6 Sol wins the coding benchmark test outright, with 96.2% on SWE bench verified, and it wins speed decisively, thanks to a 750 tokens per second ultra-fast tier nothing else here can match. Gemini 3.5 Pro wins exactly 1 test, context, and output limits, on the strength of a leaked 2 million token window, but it has no confirmed pricing, no confirmed speed, and no release date at all. Now, Claude Opus 4.8 wins on costs at $5 in and $25 out, cheaper than Sol's $30 output rate, and it wins on deployment, live everywhere with the deepest agentic tooling of the 3. GPT 5.6 Sol wins the coding benchmark test outright, with 96.2% on SWE bench verified, and it wins speed decisively thanks to a 750 tokens per second ultra-fast tier nothing else here can match. Gemini 3.5 Pro wins exactly 1 test, context, and output limits, on the strength of a leaked 2 million token window, but it has no confirmed pricing, no confirmed speed, and no release date at all. Claude Opus 4.8 wins on costs at $5 in and $25 out, cheaper than Sol's $30 output rate, and it wins on deployment, live everywhere with the deepest agentic tooling of the three. GPT 5.6 Sol wins the coding benchmark test outright, with 96.2% on SWE bench verified, and it wins speed decisively thanks to a 750 tokens per second ultra-fast tier nothing else here can match. Gemini 3.5 Pro wins exactly one test, context, and output limits on the strength of a leaked 2 million token window, but it has no confirmed pricing, no confirmed speed, and no release date at all. Now, Claude Opus 4.8 is the pick, 2 wins to 1, 0 ties. The decisive reason is simple. It's the only model in this comparison you can deploy today at scale at a lower price with the deepest proven agentic tooling. GPT 5.6 Sol earns real respect for its raw benchmark ceiling and its ultra-fast ceiling. And if you need the absolute best coding score and don't mind the access gate and the premium, it's worth choosing. Gemini 3.5 Pro is the one to wait for, not the one to build on, because a 2 million token context window you can't yet access isn't a contender. It's a rumor with good specs. Here's what the marketing around GPT 5.6 Sol won't tell you. The headline number everywhere is 96.2% on SWE bench verified, and that's real. But on SWE Bench Pro, a genuinely more difficult variant of the same test, Sol drops to 64.6%, and Claude Opus 4.8 actually leads there at 69.2%. The undisputed coding king loses on the harder version of its own signature test. Nobody puts that on the announcement page. If you want to see how Claude Opus 4.8 holds up once Gemini 3.5 Pro actually ships and gets real, verified numbers, that's the follow-up video to watch. I'll rerun every one of these 5 tests the moment there's real data to back it.